How's it going, folks? Doing another video for my GTO Best Ball channel. Best Ball Mania 3 here, so a few game theory things to keep in mind with that. And for example, we do not want to take Julio Jones in this draft no matter what, but I have taken him once or twice in a puppy draft where, it doesn't matter so much that his ADP has risen because he was always that expensive. Got pick 4 here, so pretty excited about that. Guess we'll be hoping for a Cooper Cup share since that seems to be who goes 4 now. Justin Jefferson. And then we'll scoop up a Cooper Cup share. Pretty concerned about Matt Stafford, not going to lie. But, what am I going to do? I'm way overweight on Chase, right? Because I've been able to get him past 5 so often. So for Chase, I have 13 or 14%. And for Cooper Cup, I'm still hanging out at 5. Just because I've only taken Cooper Cup at 3. So I think I have no choice but to take Cooper Cup because although I'm concerned about the Matt Stafford stuff, it is causing a drastic drop in his ADP. So there's a very good chance we could pair up Cup and Stafford, with Stafford being a significant discount. And obviously the elbow thing could be a massive problem. But I also have 2% Matt Stafford in this tournament, so not really super worried about if things go terribly wrong and this team bites the dust because Stafford's elbow, then that's really, really good for me overall. So, even though it would be terrible for this team. So, yeah, we'll try to pair up Stafford with Cup, but, something else might happen. We might end up on a different quarterback or whatever. I don't mind Stafford even as a quarterback 2 with an elite with his current price because his price has gotten so much cheaper. So, kind of have anything open to us as far as positions. Don't really have much of a preference here. I have an awful lot of Javonte, so that's one thing to kind of consider, I guess. Mike Evans is dealing with a minor injury right now. Just going to take Anders or Tyreek and be happy with whichever one I get. Crap, now I actually have to think. I really prefer getting the elite tight end, so I guess I'll take Anders. He had a little scare at practice this week where he got his foot cut in the turf, but it sounds like he's okay. So, this could end up being a Lamar team. Maybe we'll end up with Lamar and Stafford, maybe not. We've got no RBs so far, so there's really not any that super interest me at this price other than Javonte and Fournette. Nick Chubb does not super interest me at this price. If Kareem Hunt were to leave, I know he's asked to be traded, then I'd kind of be bummed that I don't have a ton of Chubb, but I still think Dearness would take most of the passing downs work. So going to be pretty easy for us. We'll probably either be taking a running back or T. Higgins. I prefer T. Higgins to A.J. Brown mainly because I've gotten more A.J. Brown and I've gotten cheaper A.J. Brown, whereas it's pretty hard to get cheaper Higgins. He doesn't fall as often, so just raw straight up, I like Brown and Higgins basically the same. So I guess we can take Javonte or Higgins. Since we don't have a running back and I prefer Hero RB, I guess I'm going to lean towards Javonte. The only problem with that is a lot of times you can get a really nicely priced Breece Hall. But I'm pretty comfortable in dual RB as well. I really have kind of backed off from drafting both Hyperfragile and Zero RB this year just because I really, really like Hero RB, and sometimes my Hero RB builds end up getting pushed into a duel because of a great value, but that's not really a bad problem to have. Seems like a fine problem to me. We did get Javonte at current value, but not really in this contest, right? Because the pick we got him at is more where he had been going before he recently got more expensive. So definitely liking this crew so far. We could certainly consider Lamar with our next pick. Like I said, for RBs, the only RB that's usually available down here I really go after is Brees. I'm overweight on Akers as well, but I don't really love Akers. But he's another guy that will be in the range about where we're picking. Where if we want him, we'll be able to take him. Definitely concerned Javante is not going to quite get the work that we're all hoping he gets, and that he'll be like kind of a small loss of a pick, but the ceiling is still just like too high to ignore. So I think you just need to accept that that might be a small loss and move on. So no real big news other than, Deshaun Watson's supposed to find out his new suspension next week, and it's been some minor injuries. Zach Ertz got kind of banged up, but nothing crazy since the Tim Patrick injury. So pretty much interested in all the players on the board between Judy and Waddle. Some interest in Akers and Lamar as well. If I am going to take Lamar, I probably would prefer to take him on this side of the turn, just because like the closer to the turn you get, the more enticing Lamar Bateman is for other people. So if I actually really want Lamar, I probably will grab him first, but we'll see what the other options are. Hollywood, Brees, and Gabe Davis are all strong reasons for me to pass and risk losing Lamar. Hollywood and Gabe Davis. Well, if we take Hollywood, we open ourselves up to Kyler as an option, which is really, really nice. So let's do that. I also don't think I have much Hollywood with Mark Andrews, because I'm often taking Hollywood and Pitts together since they play each other week 17. So keep in mind we could get some Chargers to go with Cooper Kupp, but it's really not a ton of great Chargers available later since they go so early. We'll have Josh Palmer, Spiller, Gerald Everett, all his options. Yeah, Lamar does go before us. That's okay. We will probably either take Kyler unless some sort of great value hits us. I don't really need Waller or Kittle in this build. I don't see anything else that super stands out to me as being like something I gotta have. So I was hope someone does not take two quarterbacks before it's our pick. Obviously, we could take Mahomes too and go for some sort of late stacking option, but since we have Hollywood, I don't really love that. Could kick Kyler down the way and maybe grab up. Well, the guy who took Lamar didn't take Bateman. That's kind of weird. Do we care about taking Kyler over Mahomes? Not really. I actually have Kyler ranked over Mahomes, so it's fine. I have not taken Kyler in any 3 QB builds. Could consider that this time. Pretty happy with the start of this team. We do not have Pitts to go with our Arizona guys, but we'll definitely have a shot of maybe getting Drake London next round, who is one of my favorite picks. I wonder who the Mahomes team had. No stack options. It's rough. Would have been really nice. Is this the Kelsey guy? Yeah. Bet you that Kelsey guy had his mouth watering, hoping that Mahomes dropped a couple more spots. So it looks like we went Taylor McCaffrey, Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Derrick Henry, Chase, Dalvin Cook, Eckler. Diggs, Adams, Kelsey, and Najee in round 1. Barkley is creeping up to that 1-2 turn as we thought he would. I wish I would have bought more Barkley when he was like mid-round 2. I bought tons when he was in round 3. Then when he went up a lot, I kind of thought he wouldn't go up anymore, but he has kept going up. The guy at the 1-2 turn got Allen and Gabe Davis. That's nice for him. I don't really like going Pittman and Jonathan Taylor, but it's fine. I just don't like having that much investment into the Colts, but there's nothing really wrong with it. I would have just picked Tyreek instead. Or, sorry, he didn't have Tyreek as an option. Probably would have just taken T. Higgins or AJ Brown instead. Joe Burrow unstacked, so that does not seem to be very good. Like, he has Mixon. I don't know, that seems like a bad pick. I really think it's going to be hard to win these tournaments with unstacked quarterbacks that don't run. Someone took Drake London. That's a bummer. So what am I looking at? I have some interest in D-Hop, Devonta Smith, Tony. We're on the clock. I think I like Devonta Smith, Ayuk, and Tony the best. I'll take Ayuk a little ahead here for reasons. So I would have taken Devonta Smith there, but Hurts went the pick before us. So the reason why I took Ayuk here is I don't really double elite quarterback much, but I'm kind of interested in doing it here. And then going with like a real deep hero RB build where we don't take another running back for a couple more rounds. Obviously Lance might just get taken ahead of us, and it's fine. Then maybe we just grab DeAndre Hopkins and double stack Murray. Or we could just go to Tony or Devonta Smith. But I like the idea of having the chance to double elite quarterback here. Like I said, because it's something I really have not done hardly at all in these tournaments. I mean, I have done it some, but probably less than 5% of the time. Maybe I have 3 or 4 double elite builds. So let's see if it pays off. I wonder if Blount down here has he has Calvin. I was just wondering if this guy had Kittle because it's he'll probably be pissed. All right, let's do it. Let's double elite quarterback this time. Probably not going to take a tight end forever. So that's why we went with Ayuk there. Because the reason why I took Ayuk first is because if I took Ayuk and didn't get Lance, it was just a slightly bad reach on ADP, right? But if I took Lance and didn't get Ayuk back, then I would have no stacking options for Lance, and I'd just prefer not to have Lance in that case. I'd rather just shift my build to do something else. So that's why we took Ayuk when we took Ayuk, even though it was a bit of an ADP reach there to set up the double elite QB. So for values, we've gotten a decent value on Javonte, okay on Hollywood, and we've kind of eaten it on Kyler and Ayuk. So hopefully we will be able to pick up some other values at some point in this draft. But so far that has not been a strength of ours in this draft. So looks like we will not be getting Matt Stafford in this one, which is fine with me. I definitely don't mind Cup without Stafford. I hate having Stafford and Cousins without Jefferson and Cup. Like, I just don't see how Cousins or Stafford can win you this tournament without Cup or Jefferson. They're just like so closely, strongly correlated, you know? So, few running backs that are interesting to me, and definitely quite a few wide receivers. Could maybe look at a Sky Moore as a comeback for Javante. Uh, I love Clyde Edwards-Helaire value right now. Since I'm very, very, very terrified of Rojo, like I had way too much Rojo. Things look awful for Rojo. The person who benefits the most from things with Rojo not going right is Clyde. So that's why I've been trying to take a lot of Clyde lately to offset my overexposure to Rojo. I'm now actually over on both of them. So, yeah, Pollard and Clyde really interest me. I think I'll just take Clyde here. It's a little tough having, two running backs in the same Week 17 game, but at least they're both guys that can catch passes, so it shouldn't be too disastrous for us. Probably be looking at wide receiver with our next pick. We only have three, so I like Olave quite a bit. Don't mind Lockett. Love Garrett Wilson. Seems like the rookies are finally starting to get more expensive at wide receiver. Like it's getting really hard to get like Treylon Burks and some of those dudes. Lockett or Garrett Wilson though has stayed reasonably priced. The others seem to be moving up. Don't mind Kenneth Walker, but I think going with the double elite quarterback will be kind of hurting too much at wide receiver if we take another running back. So I'm looking at Lockett, Robert Woods, or Garrett Wilson. So I'm just going to take Lockett or Garrett Wilson. I think I'll just take Lockett this time over Garrett Wilson. It's fine. Garrett Wilson's the person I'm the most exposed to of all wide receivers, and I usually pick him over Lockett because I'm trying to leave a breadcrumb to drafting Zach Wilson later. But with knowing that our QBs are locked up, I'll take Lockett over Wilson this time, since that's not a concern for me. It's a pretty interesting team so far. Not much we can do for Atlanta bringbacks. I guess we could end up with like Patterson or Algier, neither of which is all that enticing to me. It's pretty much all the Atlanta players that I have interest in drafting. So Stafford, woes. It's just amazing how many teams are basically like just have no chance of winning because they don't have any correlations with their quarterbacks. Like, so this team has like correlation with Josh Allen. This team has at least Keenan Allen, Herbert. This team has no correlations with Lamar, but Lamar is probably one of the quarterbacks you can actually get away with it. Like, it's still not good. I don't think. I think it's bad to not have any correlation with Lamar, but I think that like this can still actually win the tournament because Lamar can just like run for 2 touchdowns or whatever, you know. Obviously, we have correlations with both of ours. We have a Hurts Brady team here. Doesn't have any correlations. This is the Matt Stafford team. No correlation. The Russ Wilson Judy team. So like when you don't have any of these correlations, it's not that hard to like advance out of this pool of 12, but like getting any further is going to be nearly impossible without correlations. Carr Cousins. This guy at least is Waller. Pretty weak overall. And then the Burrow guy we know had like no Burrow guys. This dude hasn't taken a quarterback yet. Wide receiver is getting pretty hideous. Ooh, I was actually going to have interest in taking Ertz there. Could take Josh Palmer to get like some correlation with Cooper Kupp. I'm just going to take Knox. He's like just too far past ADP. And we're just going to shut it down at tight end. So now we have two elite quarterbacks, and my borderline, I don't know, Knox is not an elite tight end, but for me, he's like still in the guys that I'm comfortable with having as my tight end one. So that pick was a little bit tough because, we have Mark Andrews, but I really love the upside of Knox, and 13 picks after ADP is like a real good value. So this is going to be a strange looking team. I think what we're going to have to do is kind of get kind of dirty at running back. Like we might pass here and only have the two running backs, but we'll probably go with 6 running backs, 8 wide receivers, and then 2 obviously at quarterback and tight end, since both those positions are extremely strong. So that was kind of an odd and unique pick, I think, there. Hoping Josh Palmer makes it back to us, but he may not. If he goes, then we'll probably take Dotson. I prefer Dotson to Josh Palmer in a vacuum, but we do have the Cooper Kupp correlation. I probably wouldn't cry if Palmer goes ahead of us and we have an excuse to just take Dotson, though. Would be fine with that. Love Darrell Henderson. I like Madison too, but I have like a billion Madison. So I'm going to take either Josh Palmer or Jahan Dotson here. Slightly prefer Dotson, but we'll take Palmer to get the correlation. I don't think we've drafted a rookie yet. That's strange for me. So we should be able to load up on some like George Pickens types later. Wandell. To kind of change that. Interested to see what's available at running back at our next pick. I don't feel too bad about our top 2 being Javonte and Clyde, that's for sure. Although Clyde could just be a bust again, but he's priced so wonderfully. So running backs, it's realistic to make it back to us. I have interest in Gainwell and Michael Carter are definitely 2 of them. I'd love Darrell Henderson, but he ain't making it back to us. Tyler Algier, we could consider again for correlation reasons. Not a big fan of Tyler Algier, though. Seems like it's going to be a pretty bad offense. And I think he's a very mediocre prospect. But sometimes you are surprised, and a lot of people seem to like Algier in the draft process. So we're not really going to be looking at quarterback or tight end anymore, no matter what values appear, because, we're just done with those positions. Around 12, KJ Hamler. It was tough. You really cannot do that in Best Ball Mania 3, I don't think. I think you could pay like price around 14-ish, maybe. But like you're just like he was around 18 guy, so now you're like giving up 6 rounds of value. Same with Isaiah McKenzie. It's just tough to pay that price when teams have those guys at so much cheaper of a price. So we won't be taking Rojo no matter what, because Rojo is basically a counter bet to our Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I would rather have Rojo on a different team than on the same team, so like you can hit ceilings. So we could go Algier for correlation here. I'm actually going to go with Michael Carter for a different correlation. So like I'm getting the Michael Carter correlation with Tyler Lockett here for week 17, but I just think that Michael Carter's ceiling is like infinite compared to what Algiers is. Algier has more of a chance to be like the starter for Atlanta and be like fine. But like in this Best Ball Mania tournament, you don't want fine. Like Michael Carter, if something were to go to happen to Brees Hall or Brees Hall got hurt, Michael Carter could be like insane. And he'll probably still have some value even with Brees Hall healthy. So that's why we're taking Hall over Algier there. 153 for Pickens, huh? 148. If I want Pickens, I'm probably going to have to take him my next pick. So I'm going to have to consider that versus the running backs available. Could go down to Brian Robinson maybe as my RB4. I do love Pickens. Pickens correlates with Mark Andrews for week 17. Kind of want to get Zamir White if I can in round like 15, 16 to go with Lance and Ayuk. So I'm kind of on Algier, Gainwell, and Pickens as my possible picks here. Here's Hines. So we only have 5 wide receivers. Thank God. Very excited to get Pickens as my 6th. Love the upside. Correlates with one of our players. 5 picks ahead. ADP is just fine with me. So we're a little weak at running back, but we are going to draft 6, and we don't really have like a hero build because I think Clyde is like he's borderline. Like if Clyde's good, you have a dual RB build, and that's kind of like what you're relying on, right? So I normally only draft 5 guys in a dual RB build, but I think Clyde has like a range of outcomes where he can also just be like middling, and your team might really like go off if it hits on a different running back. So I don't know. I think we'll go 6 with this particular build. You're gonna go 2-6-8-2. Definitely an interesting team. I don't have any teams that look like this team because I do not have any teams where I've drafted Murray and Lance, but more people in the Spike Week have been talking about double elite QB. This one's wasn't like insanely expensive, it was around 5 and round 7 picks, so I don't know. We'll see how this team works out. I like it pretty much a lot so far. I don't think there's a position where we're like overwhelmingly weak at, despite being insanely strong at both tight end and quarterback. It's like we're insanely strong at tight end and quarterback. Running back seems like it's at worst going to be like okay, and wide receiver seems like it'll be at worst good. No real bye week worries to worry about. I pretty much don't consider bye weeks unless I'm starting to get like super deep on them. I do like Wandell a lot. We have some value on the board with Landry and Gainwell. Khalil Herbert. Jamison Williams seems to be going later and later. He could be like a late season hammer. TDP has been getting some good reports from camp, so liking that. I have quite a bit of TDP. Would be a little slightly hesitant to add him to this team just because we have Trey Lance and Ayuk, but I think I'd just straight up rather have Zamir on the other side of that game. Probably going to have to take Zamir. I don't know. If we want him, we're probably going to have to take him in around 15, which sucks just because he's been going so much higher than his ADP that, like, leaving him to the end around 16 seems like we just wouldn't get him. So we might decide that we're just not going to get him, but make that decision soon. Do like Brian Robinson. I like Wandell. I like Alex Pierce. Jamison Williams has like fallen a billion spots in some of my drafts, so could go like Brian Robinson, Zamir, and then maybe stop at running back. That could be a thought. Don't love it though. I'm going to take Wandell here. So keep in mind now we have 3 week 9 bye weeks for wide receivers. Nothing to be super worried about. If there's a tiebreaker on our 8th wide receiver, we're probably going to lean away from week 9. Just basically hoping whenever Brian Robinson or Zamir White makes it back to us. Obviously, it becomes slightly interesting if they're both on the board. I think they're both similar bets, so I think I would just take Zamir White. Even though there's a big ADP gap, to me, there's not a big gap like in the rankings. So I think our correlation advantage is strong enough with taking Zamir White that we should just take him. So we'll probably be looking at adding a running back and, or sorry, 2 running backs and a wide receiver still. So we can't have anything too bad happen to us with this pick because we're either going to get Brian Robinson or Zamir White. So I am going to go down and just take Zamir White here, even though the ADP looks worse. Just like I said, to me they're like basically the same bet. And I want the guy who's correlated to Trey Lance and Ayuk for week 17. So Dearness Johnson's a guy I'm going to look for still. Kareem Hunt's unhappy in Cleveland. He's holding in. The Browns are talking about starting to fine him. He wants to be traded. So if he were to go, then Dearness Johnson becomes like a top end handcuff / guy that's just going to get touches, like regardless. I think that the way the Hunt situation is actually going to play out is that either they're going to start finding him and he's forced to just practice, or they're going to give him a new deal. It's something like a 1 or 2 year deal. I think one of those 2 things will happen. I don't think that there's any way that they'll cut him. I do think that they'd be open to trading him, but like what they would want for him, I would assume would be something like a 4th round pick, maybe a 3rd round pick. And I doubt there's any other teams that are looking for running backs that would pay that at the moment. Maybe if there's running back injuries, then that changes. Like a team like Atlanta or Houston, I mean, they just can't really view themselves as close enough to give a shit about a running back on a 1 year deal, right? Like they're not a running back away. So why would they give up a 4th round draft pick? Even though Kareem Hunt would improve their team. Just don't really see what the point would be for those teams. It'd be kind of burning a draft pick. So Jerick McKinnon's a guy I like a good bit, but we will not be taking him on this build because we have Clyde. Jamison Williams will be fully on my radar if he makes it to our next pick. Doubt that happens. I will windmill slam Jameson Williams onto this team as my 8th wide receiver, even though I do think he'll be sitting out a lot. He's now like 30 picks past ADP. Anyone else that are super interesting? Darrell Williams interests me some, but there's also later. Dearnest. So, in a perfect world, my next 2 picks would be Jameson Williams and Dearnest, but we rarely live in a perfect world. But let's hope. If Jameson Williams goes before my pick, I'm probably just going to pick Dearnest and not really risk it. I do want Dearnest quite a bit. I think Jameson Williams at 37 picks after ADP would be worth taking the risk of losing Dearnest. We can kind of find something else, maybe Sony, something like that. Ooh, Jameson Williams does go before our pick. That hurts. All right, let's just go take Dearnest then. We'll kind of figure out what else we're going to do after that. Ugh, running back. Sony interests me. Eno interests me. Hassan Haskins interests me. Gus with the injury just doesn't really interest me. McKinnon, we have Clyde. Mark Ingram is so just blech. How about wide receiver? There's Will Fuller. I like Zay Jones quite a bit. I like Tyquan Thornton. I'm a little concerned with Will Fuller with the mental health stuff, and I've drafted quite a bit of Will Fuller, so I don't know. There are plenty of openings who Zay Jones goes. I can at least stick him in queue. Samuel Watkins, come on, man. Played a bunch in scrimmage, huh? Why do I not buy this guy? Because it feels like it's been 2 decades since he's done anything relevant. Curtis Samuel, I don't mind. I have tons and tons of Dotson, and if things go wrong with Dotson, one of the people that will benefit the most is Curtis Samuel. Tempted to just take Sony here. Or Eno. I have a billion Sonys. Eno's been going before my pick in round 18. Oh, that's right. So Eno does correlate. Yeah, let's take Eno. So Eno catches passes, right? So he doesn't really negatively correlate with Kyler that much. He could actually positively correlate with Kyler in a big way if he were to catch a touchdown in the playoff weeks. Plus, if Eno is the main running back there, it means James Conner is hurt, right? And if James Conner is hurt, then the Cardinals are probably passing more often. Pretty interesting team here. So, I guess we can throw Samuel Watkins into the queue. Thank God. Never mind. We don't have to do that. Well, I'd rather not take someone with a week 9 bye if I don't have to. But let's put David Bell in there. Pringle, I like. He's not the greatest, but he got a ton of downfield work and was really pretty good at it in Kansas City. And we know Fields does have a big arm as far as being able to throw downfield. I just think that team might be poop. Well, I think that team will be poop. Kyle Phillips is another guy I don't hate late. Braxton Berrios is not unreasonable. What do we got for a blue on? And Kill Harry dead again. There's a shocker. It's just not going to happen for that guy. Severe ankle injury. Shame. it will just not happen for him. So I think I'm on Taekwon Thornton and then Byron Pringle. I just kind of hoping both of them don't go. There's Odell, but like I think Odell's gonna play so little. I think he'll be back very, very late. Is there anyone that like correlates to these guys that we love super late? There's like Wesley and Danny Gray. I just really like Thornton as like a second round pick that has the speed he has, but we'll see. Kyle Phillips has been working with the first team of Tennessee and could be a good amount of work open there. We'll take Thornton. Sweet. So, interesting crew here. We ended up obviously insane at quarterback with Kyler and Lance. I think good enough. Pretty good at running back, actually, with Javonte, Clyde, Carter, Zamir White, Dearness, and Eno. And at wide receiver, definitely satisfactory with Cooper Cup up top. Obviously, if the Stafford stuff, that could be the end, but what can you do? Last year, Stafford played with the same injury, had an injection in his elbow, was able to kind of soldier through it, but the more you hear about that same injury popping up, the less good it gets over time. So we got Ayuk and Lockett, Palmer, Pickens, Wandell, and Thornton. So I definitely think we have amazing, good, amazing. So all in all, I think that this team is very, very strong. Thank you for watching, and good luck in your drafts, folks.